Yo, everybody. Hope everyone's been doing well. Hey, for all mankind, which dropped on Friday. I know this is not a timely review, but you know what? I decided that this was more than a review. I needed to think it through from a theory perspective, and also from the perspective when you compare it to the prior episode, which was incredibly well done. So much mixed into it. So many things occurred. Sadly, Ed Baldwin's death. And we can start seeing start thinking about the ramifications of where things are going to go. Lays the groundwork. This episode overall, this is where For All Mankind is just open the door again, as in prior seasons, to political intrigue, espionage, the Russian economic state, the state of the world, all of a sudden the dependencies upon another planet, another part of the system, asteroids, to fuel the economy and give them new minerals. The fact that we're seeing tech companies that are much more important now than NASA and whatever, I can't remember what they called the Russian thing, the cosmonaut stuff back then. And this is an alternative history. And so, I mean, this episode does a really great job of laying the groundwork of all this, reconnecting, showing us the ramifications of Ed Baldwin's death on how it's impacted the residents of Mars, how it's actually impacting some of the corporate thoughts. We also get a chance to see some of the things that are going back to one of the corporations on Earth, Helix, which Dev and Aleida are involved with, and basically those guys haven't always communicated. It shows some of the conflict. It shows that Dev is doing his things. It shows us these conflicts. It also shows us political intrigue. It shows somebody wanting to be the next person in charge of Russia, the next president of Russia, and other puppet strings being pulled multiple places, and maybe some double, triple agent stuff. That's what's in this thing. This thing is good, really good. I think what we got coming for the rest of the years is going to be incredible. So I'm giving this episode a gold. I mean, the first walkthrough, I was going to give it a silver. But when I started thinking about all the political intrigue that was happening in here, in theory, and I have a lot of theories that have come from this. I'm going to touch more on the theories now in each one of these slides, past what I talked about. It just comes like, this is like a good stew, a good chili, just comes together just well. The ingredients are coming together, and of course we're going to have some major conflicts. So, give it a gold. For some reason, as we know, Ed Baldwin being the rebel he was throughout most of his life, the government of Mars does not really want to give him public viewings or anything to that effect. Well, the public on their own decided to put this up. And this is sort of showing the rebellious nature, the independent nature of the Mars colony. It's there, and Ed was always stirring that. We see this in this, and they respected him, and we see this in here. And then meanwhile on Earth, Russia is starting to fall apart economically because they were depending on this iridium and this M6 alliance to foster their economy. And they're finding out it's costing much, much more. Now, they do have a plan, a theory. This is part of my theory. Their plan is to take over Mars themselves and push out the other countries and control this. And the way they're going to do this is through their corporation Kuragin, and they're going to have the space elevator, so it's going to make it cheaper to bring things back and forth from the asteroid belts down and up, and then ship it out to Earth and reduce costs dramatically. And they have this thought that they're going to do this, and they think they're going to be able to control the world economy. I think this is my theory behind this. And there's unrest going on in Russia, and they need to quell that. And the way they can quell it is showing, hey, we're the leader, and also showing economically we're taking care of you. Now, the current president is pissed at his governor he has up there. He's a big former cosmonaut who did serve a little bit with Ed Baldwin. He basically is just saying, I know you will rise to the occasion. We didn't know when this was being stated, rise to the occasion also meant that shelter company we created, Kuragin, is our engine to gain control of the world's economy. This is one of my theories. They want to go through this. And you know what needs to be done on Mars. You need to control things. You need to control these people. And you need to get them ready to be shipped off and come back to Earth. And we're going to find out. So you got this conspiracy going on. And then you got the governor and his wife sitting there going, he's complaining about, all the focus is on Ed Baldwin, the funeral, they're bitching, and his wife goes, well, why don't you just do a party like they all did on launches? And this will get their minds off of it. And hint, hint, Baldwin's daughter is going to be, Kelly's going to be flying, so this is going to win-win. So do that. So, but I think she is a freaking KGB agent. That's one of my theories. I think I don't know what her first name is, to be honest with you. I think when she first met him at Star City at some sort of party, it was a plan. She was a spy to manipulate the governor, up to be, to control him and make sure he's doing the right things for Mother Russia and the president and what the KGB wants and how they want to conquer the world. I think she's a KGB agent. Let me know your thoughts. And then she's always hugging, loving him a hell of a lot. I mean, it's like, okay, I can see these two being in love, but sometimes it seems like there's more like she's playing the Russian spy, playing her husband to manipulating him to do things. I think that's what's going on. And this little reference here is talking about doing a party. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Helix has discovered that, hey, our best chance of finding life is now on Titan, and it's not on Mars. I'm going to have to pull a plug on this one project. But to do that, we don't have the budget, and the board's not going to like this. So Aleida, who's the CEO, she's being told, hey, you got to stop the spending and put the money to Titan. So she decides to go visit Margo. And Margo, we looked at as a partially tragic figure, but Margo basically has caused this whole space stuff to happen for mankind, where they are. And we think that she paid the price and she was manipulated into giving U.S. secrets over to the Russians. But really, was she? Is this her supposed penance? Part of my theory, guys, part of my theory. And, and she goes, she's talking with Aleida. Aleida goes, it's going to cost us more money than we have. We don't have a ship ready to go. She goes, oh, yeah, you do? It is a Sojourn, so you're going to go up there. And the board, this is a little conversation, the board says they're not going to approve any overages. And so Margo suggested that you're going to have to do stuff. And I'll get back to that stuff. And meanwhile, you got Dev doing Dev shit, who decides he wants to build a city on Mars that's going to house 1 million people. Helix is going to fund it. But, I mean, I don't know if he's chairman still or not, but he's spending money like crazy to do this without authorization, and it's not approved, and the board's not happy, and the board, when they're not happy, anybody who's the CEO and executives are in trouble. And I think this is what's happening here. Aleida's in trouble, Dev's in trouble, and alliances are being formed. And those alliances are with a competitor. And the Russians, damn, you know. Margo, back to her. She always goes, okay, they're talking. I've always only made good decisions. I would challenge that, Margo, but Margo, you've always made decisions that benefited yourself and help advance mankind's technology. That my theory is she always means to advance the technology, but she doesn't give a shit who she hurts. And in this case, she's going to hurt her only friend left, Aleida. And she goes, she sends a veiled warning to her. Things, when they trickle down to you, they trickle down to you, but they're going to come back to bite you because you didn't know about it in advance. So this is where then she goes, hey, I suggest you need to get Sojourn as your backup plan because it's up in Mars. All you got to do is do some retrofitting and get it to Mars, get it to Jupiter and the moons and Titan. And you could do this. So Margo manipulates her, but I think the manipulation is in case the Russian Kuragin company has a problem happen when they're going to Titan. Sojourn is now the backup to be able to get this because of a backroom deal that's actually in play between the two corporations that Aleida does not know that the board is in dirt with. So that's part of my theory that Helix is more interested in advancing their mission, their investment by aligning with another company and a country, because I think Russia is better equipped to get things done because the Americans at this point they want to take everything back from Mars. So the backup plan, boom. And Margo then goes to Aleida, you got to go up there. I think this was a frickin' trap, damn trap, to get her away from the boardroom. So she was not on Earth to see what's going on. And she was so focused on getting that spacecraft ready, she would ignore everything else that was happening, ignore the signs, and the board will eventually kick her out and have this relationship with the Russians. And I think the Russians are controlling her. And they want to get Aleida out of the way. This is my also theory here. And of course, as I talked about, Dev wants to build this city, blah, 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 spending a lot of money that they don't have. Now, they also introduce a new oldish character we saw when she was a little child, who happens to be daughter of one of the astronauts who was at Baldwin, eventually committed suicide. I think it was season 1 or season 2. And she is wanting to get into the special space operations. And she was struggling because they're doing multiple register readings on her polygraphs, etc. And so they go, she goes, I guess that's bad. I just got it. And they go, yay, Tabasco, we're going to the moon, yay. I don't think she's going to be I don't think she's going to end up on the moon. I think, by the way, my theory is she, in the writer's minds, producer's minds, is Ed Baldwin's passionate character replacement. She's fiery, spicy, hence her nickname, Tabasco. Sort of like Baldwin, a female version of Baldwin, but probably a more reactive one who's going to get in the face more than Baldwin did at the beginning. So I think she's going to be playing a key role going forward in this season and on. And then back to Mars when Aleida catches up with Dev. He goes, Dev goes, I'm finally glad to see you. And, and he distracts her from saying, well, didn't want to talk about the city. We got to talk about the mission. So what the hell is he up to? And that's a question that comes through here a lot. The theory is Dev has always played sides to his advantage, to what he wants, not giving a shit about anybody else. So what is he up to? And then he goes, with your Sojourn spacecraft, you're going to hit Titan's atmosphere like a bat out of hell. But they don't have the right mathematical formula to make sure they don't get deflected into the atmosphere or burned down. And they're having this conversation, and he goes, well, I think I can get it, because I know Kuragin got the information, because they got it for theirs. I'll find a way to get it. And it's all of a sudden, what the hell? He's in bed with them. He knows what's going on. But he's trying to manipulate them while they're manipulating him. And, when you play with Dev usually wins. And his end game is he wants Mars to be independent. And he wants to have his own population there. He wants 1 million people there. And that 1 million people, I think he's planning to get those from Earth, but he's planning to get it from an economically deprived Earth, because I think he plans to shut down the iridium shipments and starve them and cause battles and wars, and get people coming up to Mars because Mars is more affluent. I think that's what the hell's going on. And, he goes, Dev, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And he's going to get the launch window shut. So when the launch is going off with the Sojourn, the admin assistant walks up to Aleida, hands her a folder. She opens up the folder. She looks at it. She sees things in it, and she's shocked. But she has to turn her attention back to the launch. And we go away a little bit. The launch goes successfully. Our KBG agent smiling, M6. I get back to the fact the Sojourn is a contingency plan in case the Russian company screws up somehow, and that they can get up there. They are being played and manipulated by our KBG agent and Margo, in my mind. Now, the grandson, Ed, did some data mining and sort of authorization of Dev, but not to find this stuff. He finds files that basically that Sojourn, the company, they want to basically automate everything and get rid of 95% of the population, send them back to Earth, which is not in concert with Dev's plans. But they release this, boom, shit hits the fan. Boom, once again, shit hits the fan. Files reveal secret Mars optimization plan. Leaked, things go to the fan. So back in that folder that Aleida opened up, there's a photo in it. This person is part of this delegation team, Irina Mazarova. Now, she was the one that basically screwed up, supposedly Margo's life a long time ago. She got arrested by KGB agents, and we thought she was gone forever. All of a sudden, she's in a power play again. She's in this power play. Once again, extreme espionage. She and the Kremlin and KGB are behind this crap. Now, the Kuragin delegation, we see some stuff here. It's not easy to read all this, but basically, it aligns back to their Cosma programs, et cetera, and conversations. Meanwhile, we see the other photo of the video of Margo just sitting there looking at the screen. She's like, I don't know. She's going, oh my God, what did I do? Which I think is what she did. I think that's what this thing means. I think she screwed everybody over. By playing both sides, doing what the Russians wanted, she hurt her friend, Aleida. She's hurting everything that's happening for future development and what she wants mankind to go forward. So, bottom line, double or triple agent? I think at least a double. Triple, I doubt, but I think at least a double agent. Yeah, sitting in the cell here in the US, secured cell, white collarish, but she has access to Aleida, and Aleida's giving her all this information. That information, I think, is going back to Russia. And she's playing it. Damn, man. Damn. And then Dev. What the hell, Dev? Dev. All I think Dev cares about is getting his city built. Damn everybody else. Screw Earth. I think that's what he's about. Screw those companies. We don't need them. They're going to be dependent on me. Screw them. And then he goes, this is what we fought for. So, hey, these are my theories. Normal Silver Age. I really can't wait for the next episode. Everybody have a great day.